Our guest today is coming all the way from China. His name is John Kuo. Welcome to the show.
Well, glad to be here.
Tell us something about your family.
Well, my family, my mother from Shanghai, the biggest city in China, and my father was from Beijing, the capital of China. And my family has quite a range from village peasants in the north of China, from Shandong province where Confucius came from, to imperial viceroys for the emperor.
How was China before and after 1976, and what actually happened that year?
So, China went through a very rapid transition from imperial era in 1911, became for a while a republican form of government, and then there was warlords, and the Japanese invaded. But in 1949, Mao and his armies were victorious, and China became a communist state. And Mao ruled from 49 until 1976 when he died. So while he was a very dynamic revolutionary leader, he was not very effective in terms of ruling, and people suffered greatly in terms of famines and upheavals and the various programs he tried to initiate. But after 76, other leaders took over who were more pragmatic, and they implemented changes that are continuing today. So while the country remains politically communist, at least in name, in terms of the economy, it's really more of a capitalist state now.
Some say China might become number one economy in the world. Do you believe in that?
Well, I guess that's we'll have to see what actually happens. But let's recall that in 1800, China already had 300 million people, which is almost the same as the US today. And at that time, China had by far the largest economy, both on a per capita and an absolute scale. So if it does achieve that state, it's not something new as people think is a development, but it's really a return to its past condition.
So it's the best number one position in the world. When did you come to Chicago, and what was the occasion?
So my father, we came to the U.S. As a family when my father was hired by Yale University. And then my father went from Yale to Washington University in St. Louis, and then at Loyola. When my family moved on, I continued my education at the U of Chicago in Hyde Park, which is where our festival also takes place. We've continued to work closely with the university.
And when was that? What year?
In the 70s.
70s.
Right.
Tell us something about your professional career.
So I worked for many years for IBM as an IT architect.
Yeah.
I currently work for a company called Vantiv, which is based in Ohio. We provide payments processing for 7 of the 10 largest retailers in America.
Among which are Walgreens,
Walmart, CVS, Macy's, and many others.
Which might be very challenging because they have high expectations.
Well, yes, we try to provide the highest level of service to our customers.
Your wife is Bulgarian. How do you raise children in a dual language scenario?
Well, we follow my father's lead. My siblings were all born in the U.S. They were all raised speaking Mandarin.
Yeah.
And it has not helped harm them in any way, because they have gone on to learn English as soon as they started school. My youngest brother is a MD, a medical doctor. My other brother is a PhD. And my sister has been a CEO at the Lincoln Center, our film society, and recently she worked for the richest man in China on a film festival. Our own daughter was raised with dual languages. So,
and I think she knows some other language too.
Right, so her first language growing up, thanks to her grandmother, her baba, and my wife was Bulgarian, has been Bulgarian. Then when she began playing with other kids and going to school, she learned English very quickly. And then while in school, she studies Spanish. And we also send her to school on Saturdays to learn Mandarin. So she knows 4 languages right now.
So do you think she has an advantage knowing all these languages?
I think that it is, yes, we believe that it is good for all of us, everyone in the society in this increasingly globalized world, to know as much in terms of languages, acquiring skills, and knowing how to deal with people, be successful anywhere in the world.
What do you know about the Chinese community here in Chicago?
The community here is probably, I would say, maybe 100,000 or so. And just like in China itself, it's divided between North and South. Northerners are generally considered a little bit slow. and more even-tempered. And I'm from both, so I can say that. And the people from the South are more temperamental, just like Mediterranean people in Europe are. But the sharpest business people are in
Which part
Shanghai.
is more developed, the north or the south side?
Historically, the north is the political center, but in terms of business and commerce, I would say the south, especially Shanghai, which has been for many years the largest city.
You're living in
the
Chicago for
economic center.
quite some time. Is this the same here in Chicago, or you can say the same thing for the north part and the south part of Chicago?
The immigration pattern in Chicago and the U.S. is that the people from the south, mostly from the poorer coastal villages, left China, say, 100 years ago to come to work on the railroads. They worked in the mines. And then in this century, they mostly opened small restaurants and sometimes laundry shops.
Yeah.
So manual labor, whereas the more recent immigrants who are from other parts, from Hong Kong, from Taiwan, from who are more professional, if you will, tend to be more in professional professions. So here it's kind of a little bit different in the sense that it really comes down to what was your background. If you came from a simple background, you came here, you probably did manual labor. But after 2-3 generations, in America, their children rise and in turn become part of the American dream.
Yeah, because we're talking south and north.
Right.
You're a fan of White Sox or Cubs?
Well, I'll be diplomatic. I went to school at U of Chicago, so I should be a White Sox fan. In fact, Bill Veeck, the owner, lived only about a block or two away from me for many years.
Yeah.
But now we live in the north side, so I guess we should be supporting the Cubs.
So that was very diplomatic. Plenty of Chinese students seem that they keep on coming to the United States. Why is that?
Well, the U.S. still has the greatest universities in the world.
Why?
Partly because of long tradition and the fact that the U.S. has invested in its educational system. The schools such as Harvard, Princeton, Chicago are on a par with the very best schools in the world, such as Oxford, Cambridge.
What makes the American colleges stand out?
Well, because it has very deep America has had deep pockets for many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
It has supported research, has the money to invest in research.
A lot of money was invested.
A lot of money, and because America has historically welcomed immigrants, and with all the instability in Europe during the world wars, World War I, World War II, many of the best and brightest minds came to America, such as Einstein, right? And they helped to, again, raise the standard of American.
Einstein came from where?
Well, Einstein was born in, I think, Ulm, Germany. He lived in Italy. He worked in Switzerland. He came to the U.S. and he became eventually an American citizen. So when he died, the Americans claimed he was American, Germans claimed he was German, the Italians claimed he was Italian, and the Swiss claimed he was Swiss.
Oh, that's logical. What food do you prefer?
Well, I like good food, and wherever it's from. So we eat everything. We eat Bulgarian food, we eat Chinese food, we eat Persian food, Indian food. We're very, how should we say, omnivorous.
Is the Chinese food in Chicago good food?
You can find it. I would say most of it is probably very oriented toward
American consumers.
American
so it's
consumers,
adapted.
because as I said, as we would say, I mean, any business has to cater to its clientele to stay in business.
To increase the number of consumers.
Of course. So they would adapt the menu to the tastes of their customers. But if you want to find authentic Chinese food, if you go look in, say, South Halsted Street, there are a number of restaurants that cater to students and faculty from, say, U Chicago, IIT, and when you go there, you find that the majority of clientele are Chinese. So, of course, then their kitchen's going to create food that's satisfactory to those customers.
You dedicate a lot of your time to Bulgarian folklore. Why?
I would say that it's one of my great passions. I was fortunate in that we had a very active group at the U of Chicago when I was a student, and I've never stopped. So Bulgarian and other Balkan music, dance, culture are among the most fascinating in the world. In terms of rhythm, it is probably the richest variety of rhythms of any, certainly folk musical culture in the world. And you can almost judge the quality of a university by how vigorous its Americans are, the interest of the Americans in those places for Bulgarian and the Balkan culture.
Really?
So if you look at, go back, say, 30, 40 years, and look at, there was a time when every top school had a club that either did international or a specific focus on Bulgarian and other Balkan dance and music. So you look at MIT, you look at Stanford, Berkeley, UCLA, Chicago,
So Berkeley, I
Harvard.
understand, is musical.
Right? Columbia, all the top schools always had a strong group of people, and especially people in mathematics, engineering, physics, who seems to gravitate toward Balkan music. You can almost measure the quality of school by how strong their groups are.
When was your first experience with the Bulgarian folklore?
Well, when I was a student, I was walking through Idenois Hall, which is one of the student centers,
Yeah.
and I saw a room where people were jumping up and down, and I said, let me go check it out, because there was some girls and
Was
you
it
know.
like love at first sight, or?
Well, I would say that it was very intriguing, and I kept going back. And then I have a story to tell you. One of my classmates, who is now a neurologist in Boston, teases me. He says, this Bulgarian Balkan music must be very addictive, because we have cases where people are cured of heroin addiction, but you people get involved in Bulgarian Balkan music, cannot seem to get cured.
Incurable.
That's correct, right?
Okay.
So,
I think a fair question is also which one came first, Bulgarian wife or Bulgarian folklore?
Oh, folklore. Folklore. In 1991, Ensemble Pirin was on tour.
Yeah.
And so I was very busy trying to reach the director, Professor Kira Stefanov, to get permission to invite the choreographer to work with our ensemble, Balkanski Igri,
Yeah.
which, by the way, is celebrating its 52nd anniversary. It was
Yeah.
founded at U of Chicago. And it took me many phone calls, and finally we reached them. 8 Mart, they arrived in Chicago,
Yeah.
and I met the Professor Stefanov, then was introduced to Kirill Apostolov, the Glavin choreographer, the chief choreographer. And then I had also organized a group of 117 people to go see Ensemble Pirin. So we went to the concert, and then we came to know some of the dancers, as well as the choreographer and Professor Stefanov. Then over time, what happened was 2 of the dancers came, stayed with me for a while. One of them had a girlfriend who was a classmate of Galia's, and Galia had just arrived, her family had just arrived in Chicago, and eventually through these dancers we met, and that's how it happened.
So through the Bulgarian folklore, you found a Bulgarian wife.
Exactly.
Oh, it makes perfect sense to me. Isn't the Chinese culture richer and older than the Bulgarian one?
Well, Chinese culture is 4,000 or 5,000 years old. And Bulgarian, if you look at the area that Bulgaria sits today, its culture also goes back 4,000 or 5,000 years. If you think of the ancient Thracians,
Thracians, yeah.
who was famous for being very, very skillful in working gold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we know that there's some gold treasuries.
Probably still waiting under the ground to
Yeah,
be
they
discovered.
found some of them.
Yeah, they found some of this, probably
in the
more still.
museums.
Yes,
There's still more there, yeah.
exactly.
Do you promote Chinese folklore too?
Our daughter has been very involved with both the a dragon team
Yeah.
and also a dance troupe. So the answer
Why
is yes.
a dragon team? Because you were born from a dragon?
Well, that's something very traditional. Always during New Year celebrations, they have the dragon that takes
Yeah.
many people. It's teamwork. It's about teamwork.
Hey, what is the role of the dragon in the Chinese psychology?
And well, it's the same as the lion in, say, Western European, or the eagle
Oh,
in
okay.
certain culture. It's considered the most noble creature.
Yeah,
And actually, in the old days, only the emperor was allowed to have a dragon with 5 toes on his insignia and emblems.
Mhm.
So
Tell us something about the music and dance festival, which you organize every year.
great. So it's our ensemble, my wife, myself, and our ensemble, as well as other friends and volunteers. It will be March 24th, 5th, and 6th. It'll be at the U of Chicago International House in Hyde Park. And this is the biggest festival of its kind that features the dance, the music, culture of Bulgaria and other Eastern European and Mediterranean cultures. It brings in people from California, New York, Texas, Canada, sometimes even from overseas.
Mm-hmm.
We bring the top masters of these traditions in terms of dance, culture, musicians, etc. So it's a whole weekend full of seminars, workshops, concerts, parties with live music. It's a great chance for us to bring together all these different communities in a spirit of mutual respect and appreciation, and to expose the best of these aspects of these cultures to the whole world.
So basically, if you try to define your mission, a major part of it will be trying to unify people through music and dance.
Through culture, and also to show it to people who may not be familiar with it yet.
Yeah.
So to expose it to the widest possible audience.
So in time when a lot of things seem to divide people, you're trying to offset that.
Well, we've been actually doing it for a very long time.
Yeah.
It's not just something that's brand new this year, but we've
But
been
now
doing
it's
it for many
even more
decades.
important.
Even more important that we find common ground, absolutely.
Since you're from a dual language family, can you teach our viewers a word or a phrase in Chinese and in Bulgarian?
Sure. So let's try Mandarin. Ni hao ma,
Ni hao ma,
which means how are you?
Fi zhen hao,
Yes.
which means very
Fei
good.
zhen hao, very good, yes. Very good
Okay.
pronunciation.
Yeah,
And then for Bulgarian, we can say, since we just had Valentine's Day,
yeah.
how about we say Niavi obichame?
Nievi obichime, which
Yes,
means we love you.
Yes.
I think that was a very positive message and good words to know.
Yes.
You have a broad musical instrument with you. How is it called?
As a matter of fact, it's an instrument in Bulgarian. It's called tarambuka.
Tarambuka. Is it only typical for the Bulgarian folklore, or it's like?
It's actually used over a very, very wide area over Eastern Europe, going through the Middle East, even Egypt.
And it's
other
named
places.
in different ways.
Called different, yeah.
Called different ways.
Right.
Okay, and what are you going to dedicate?
Well,
to our viewers?
some years ago, our group, and here's the instrument, our group Ensemble Balkanski Igri did a performance with a Native American group.
Okay.
And we found that among the rhythms that's used in Bulgaria and other parts of the Balkans, something called padushkoto,
Mm-hmm.
which musicologists notate as being in 5/16. If you speak of in terms of dancers' beats, it's quick, slow, quick, slow, quick, slow, 2 beats. If you look at Western classical music, popular music, it's typically in even meters, 2/4, 3/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, 6/8, but they don't have the so-called asymmetrical meters you have in Bulgarian music. And yet what's interesting is that every person actually carries it with them their whole lives from the time they were born, because your heart beats in a rhythm. It's not even, it's not 1, 2, 3, it's dum dum, dum dum, dum dum, which is almost exactly like the rhythm called padushkoto,
Mm-hmm.
which is quick, slow, quick, slow, quick, slow. And in fact, the Native Americans call that rhythm their heartbeat rhythm. So we did a performance together with this Native American group, our group, Balkanski Igri. We did the padushkoto together. So I'll just give you a quick sample of what I mean by a asymmetrical rhythm in 5/16, which is quick, slow, quick, slow, quick, slow, quick, slow. So one of the most common popular dances in Bulgaria and other parts of the Balkans.
And can you do something from the Chinese folklore?
I can hum a melody. Da-da-dum, da-da-da-da-dum, ya-dum-dum, da-da-da-da-dum, ya-dum-dum, da-da-da-da-dum, da-dum, da-da-da-da-dum.
Great.
So,
Thank you for being with us.
well, thank you for having us on. And
Hope to see you sometime in the future.
we hope to see you and everybody who's watching this program to come to our 52nd anniversary Spring Festival. If you'd like to volunteer, if you'd like to make a donation to help our cause, if you want to support the idea of popularizing culture, this great culture
Yeah.
representing Bulgaria and the whole region, we will welcome all of you to join us.
Great. Thank you very much once again. And next time, I hope to see you here again with your Bulgarian wife.
Well, thank you very much for having us.